The purpose of this volume is to share the wealth of previously unpublished writings reflecting Jack Kerouac's Buddhist thinking, to show how Buddhism influenced his work primarily from 1954 to 56, and to a lesser extent thereafter, giving him a new vocabulary to discuss spiritual questions that he'd been asking himself all along. From a young age, Kerouac was a spiritual thinker and questioner, and he always considered himself a spiritual writer. This statement might come as a surprise to people who only know him as the author of On the Road, but if that's the case, they didn't read it close enough. Gilbert Milstein recognized it in his rave New York Times review on the day it was published, writing that Sal and Dean's excesses in their frenzied pursuit of every possible sensory impression are made to serve a spiritual purpose. The Beat generation does not know what refuge it is seeking, but it is seeking. And in his journals, amid his 2.5-year struggle to write On the Road, Kerouac stated that his purpose was my own personal salvation and the salvation and treasuring of human life. That was in October 1949, when he was 27. 5 months later, he went further, writing on March 1st, 1950, I want to become and pray to be an earthly prophet. And in a letter to Neal Cassady in August of that year, he wrote about his conception of a celestial wheel in heaven consisting of crazy steel structures. My calling is to find out the shape and form of these things so I can know what I'm doing in heaven in my place on the wheel. I don't have to know how it works like Bill Burroughs strives to know, only the shape, the form, the final action. I don't write for artistic reasons at all, because I was made by the sky, no part of this lettuce nature, no part of Western civ either, and sent as an emissary among many emissaries. Many are chosen, few come, to study the shape of the world, and most the shape of the poor mind here. All's in a mind. Mind is all. Not born of the apple womb, but risen from a blind in graves of salt and sand to pipe the message of the dead. The roots of Kerouac's spirituality began much earlier. Raised in a deeply Catholic French-Canadian neighborhood in Lowell, Massachusetts, Jack was steeped in religion, which was radically intensified when, at age 4, his older brother, Gerard, died at age 9 of rheumatic fever. Jack's parents reacted to this tragedy in a way that was typical of French-Canadian families, by declaring Gerard a saint who had been called back to heaven, one who was too good, too pure for this world. Jack grew up hearing stories about Gerard's saintliness, stories he recounted repeatedly in his writing, most notably in his letters to his blood brother Neal Cassady 3 months before the scroll draft of On the Road, and in Visions of Gerard 5 years later. Jack attended Catholic schools until he was 11, receiving First Holy Communion, attending confession, and serving as an altar boy. There was always a crucifix hanging in his home. He'd visit Lowell's Franco-American grotto to view the Stations of the Cross, where the story of Jesus' passion was vividly depicted. And he also had visions, seeing the family's statue of Saint Therese turn its head at me. I knew I was haunted, but said nothing.